Guests here, please wait until all our new graduates have left the hall. Ushers will then show you to the nearest exits. Outside, you will be directed to the quad, where you will be able to join our new graduates. Please ensure that your mobile phone is switched off, and please remain seated throughout the ceremony. If taking photographs or recordings of people, please stand up to block their view. Now, to capture this unique moment, our official photographer will now take a photograph of those graduating today before the ceremony begins. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope you enjoy the graduation ceremony. Please rise for the Gaudiamus.
omnipotens et aeterni Deus, actiones nostras omnes aspirando praeveni, et adjuvando prosequere, ut cuncta nostra operatio, et praesertim hoc quod nunc agredimur opus. A te incipiat, et per te queptum finiatur, cotenus sanctum nomen tuum glorificemus, et misericordia tua vitam aeternam consequamur, per Iesum Christum, Dominum nostrum. Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning. I'm delighted to welcome you to this graduation ceremony. At this gathering, which officially is a meeting of the Senatus Academicus, scholars become masters, masters become doctors, and people of distinction are honored. It is the major celebratory academic occasion in our academic year, and it is a tradition that honors transformation. The ceremony marks a significant rite of passage, in particular for our students, who, in the moment of graduation, become something that they were not before. And that moment is witnessed by everyone here in the hall today. St. Andrew's is a place equally of cherished tradition and bold transformation. We are proud to be Scotland's first and most ancient university. We are equally proud to be a university that is amongst the most modern and forward-looking. Important in all of this is that as we change, we both hold to and reframe the values that we stand for. So I will now tell you something of the history of our graduation ceremony before concluding with a few remarks about today's ceremony. At this point, I would like to extend a particular welcome on behalf of the university to today's honorary graduate, Joyce McMillan. The largest part of our ceremony today takes the form of the conferment of degrees at master's and doctoral level. We confer degrees both on those many students who are present and on those who are unable to attend and who are graduated in absentia. As that phrase indicates, these rituals are conducted partly in Latin, in accordance with St. Andrew's tradition. We call upon the deans of the faculties in turn to present candidates for degrees from their respective faculties, and we then confer the degree with Latin phrases, one of which, for example, translates as, "I raise you to the rank of Master of Arts, and to symbolize this, I place upon you this cap." To most, though, we simply say, "Et super te," meaning, "and upon you too." The precise moment of graduation occurs when the graduate's cap, or beratum, touches the head of the graduand. This particular cap was long thought to be a piece of the breeks, or trousers, of one of this university's most famous 16th century students, John Knox, the major proponent of the Reformation in Scotland, and author, amongst other things, of the first blast of the trumpet against the monstrous regiment of women. So I am quite relieved to tell you that research has shown that this cap actually had different origins and was purchased in 1696 for the doctoral graduation of Sir John Arbuthnot, the celebrated Scottish physician and satirist. He was best known as creator of the memorable character John Bull, the quintessential Englishman, described by Arbuthnot as an honest, plain-dealing fellow, choleric, bold, and of very inconstant temper. Arbuthnot's cap has thus been in use in our graduation ceremonies since the end of the 17th century. When our university was founded in the 15th century, the magistrand would be capped with the beratum and presented with a ring and an open book. These last two signified that the master was wedded to the task of opening up the secrets of the written word and obliged to share his knowledge. It was to be almost 5 centuries before women were to graduate too, and during that period, the graduation ceremony further evolved. The academic dress that we now assume at these ceremonies was largely originated in the Victorian era, but it was devised on good scholarly principles with much referencing back to medieval costumes and the prescribed fashions of the universities of Paris and Cambridge. Agnes Forbes Blackadder was our first female graduate and had a Master of Arts conferred at a meeting of the Senatus Academicus in March 1895. She went on to achieve eminence as a medic and a dermatologist. A year later, a further 4 women graduated, and by 1913, over a third of students were female. Though the student body of the university changed swiftly, much remained constant in the graduation ceremony, with women putting on the same black academic gowns as men, though the Latin phrasing in the ceremony was adjusted to include the feminine. Over the past decades, it has been necessary to update the Latin on several further occasions as new academic subjects have taken root. Finding Latin wordings for a degree in computer science and management required particular ingenuity. The inclusion of change is a welcome capacity of graduation, and the university continues to change. Today, we are a community of 9,000 students rather than a few hundred. Whilst we have always been international, today almost half of our students come from out with the UK. Our curricula continue to evolve, and new degree programs continue to challenge our Latin. Graduation registers these changes in the programs our deans recite and the students whose success they record. But these transformations are situated against ritual, tradition, and deeply held values. Today, after students are awarded their degrees and the Principal's Medal is presented, members of St Salvator's Chapel Choir will perform before we proceed to the conferment of an honorary doctorate on Joyce McMillan, followed by the graduation address, which today will be delivered by Professor Don Patterson. The ceremony will close with the benediction by the university chaplain, and the new graduates will join the academic procession. Graduation is the highlight of the university year. We're delighted that you are all here to share in the success of our graduates. I hope that this is a memorable and happy day for all of you. Decanus Facultatis Sacrosanctae Theologiae.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Master of Theology, with honors, Autumn Lambert.
Te ad gradum Magistri Sacrosanctae Theologiae promovio, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Laura Lewis.
Et super te.
Rachel Miller.
Et super te.
Abby Nelson.
Et super te.
Jessica White.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Diego Musazzi.
Eum absentem Magistrum Sacrosanctae Theologiae renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Bachelor of Divinity with honors, Christine Hay.
Te ad gradum Baccalaureae Sacrosanctae Theologiae promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Timothy Maynard.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Master of Letters, LaRue Britz.
Te ad gradum magistri literarum promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Andrew Hall.
Et super te.
Anne Hazelhurst.
Et super te.
John Kaika.
Et super te.
Leandros Lazari.
Et super te.
David Martin.
Et super te.
Keith Wiedersheim.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Michael Dagan, Gordon Murray, Gerard Slavin, Jonathan Walton.
Eus absentes magistros literarum renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled Enhancing the Rule of Law in Oman Through Judicial Reform, Merging Ibadi and Western Judicial Thought, Mohammed Al-Hinai.
Te ad gradum doctoris philosophiae promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono. Congratulations, Mohammed.
For a thesis entitled Zeitgeist Incarnate, a Theological Interpretation of Post-Apocalyptic Zombie Fiction. David Baird.
Et super te. Congratulations, David.
For a thesis entitled Perichoresis and Participation, Union between the Persons of God and between God and Humanity. Braden Kress.
Et super te. Congratulations, great.
For a thesis entitled Renewing a Modern Denomination, a study of Baptist institutional life in the 1990s. Andrew Goodliff.
Et super te. Congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Jonah, Cotexts and Contexts, Marianne Kelsey.
Et super te. Congratulations, Mary.
For a thesis entitled An Urzeit-Endzeit Framework of Eschatology in Hebrews chapter 3 verse 7 to chapter 4 verse 11 and chapter 12 verses 18 to 29, Zihe Li.
Et super te. Congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Contrasting Examples of Liturgical Installation Art in Christian Worship in England and Scotland from the 1980s to the present day, Karl Marples.
Et super te. Congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Need Without Lack, a constructive proposal for a pneumatologically Christocentric anthropology, Krista McMillan.
Et super te.
For a thesis entitled A Pastor Theologian in Search of a Faith Worthy of All Acceptation, The Theological Genealogy of Andrew Fuller and his Critique of it. David Rathel.
Et super te.
For a thesis entitled Colourful Hues from a Single White, the Primacy of Imagination and the Affections for the Christian Apologetic Endeavour, Brett Speakman.
Et super te. Congratulations, Brad. Well done.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Francis Rouvinet, David Westfall.
Eus absentes doctores philosophiae renuncio. Decanus Facultatis Scientiae.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Max Allen.
Te ad gradum baccalaureae scientiae promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Paul Baumstark.
Et super te.
Charlotte Casey.
Et super te.
Alice Cato.
Et super te.
Wan Chen Chiu.
Et super te.
Blaise Cooper.
Et super te.
Han Ching Dai.
Et super te.
Rebecca Davidson.
Et super te.
Jack Dry.
Et super te.
Robson Edwards.
Et super te.
Elizabeth Iernehaug.
Et super te.
Emma Farrugia.
Et super te.
Felix Feather.
Et super te.
Christopher Fife.
Et super te.
Amy Greenwood.
Et super te.
Francesca Hall.
Et super te.
Matthew Harding.
Et super te.
Chloe Harmer.
Et super te.
Sarah Haxia.
Et super te.
Joshua Henson.
Et super te.
Sarah Kingston.
Et super te.
Callum McMahon.
Et super te.
Miranda McNeil.
Et super te.
David Muirhead.
Et super te.
Diane Paya-Monet.
Et super te.
Chloe Payne.
Et super te.
Isabel Price.
Et super te.
Elsa Robertson.
Et super te.
Charlie Rogers Smith.
Et super te.
Rebecca Stewart.
Et super te.
Naomi Wilcox.
Et super te.
George Appleyard.
Et super te.
Fiona Spencer.
Et super te.
Catherine Burke.
Et super te.
Pak Cheung.
Et super te.
Amir Ali Emami.
Et super te.
Christopher White.
Et super te.
Catherine Habel.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Lawrence Young, Nicholas Zafiriou.
Eos absentes baccalaureus scientiae renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Master in Mathematics with Honours, Sebastian Allen.
Te ad gradum magistri in mathematicae promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc veritum impono.
Esther Asalosh.
Et super te.
Christopher Brown.
Et super te.
Ellen Drexler.
Et super te.
Charlie Fraser.
Et super te.
Antoine Goldsborough.
Et super te.
Rebecca Gunson.
Et super te.
Christopher Harrogate.
Et super te.
Sarah Hawkins.
Et super te.
Ailey McKeever.
Et super te.
Zoe Mack Smith.
Et super te.
Andrea Mariani.
Et super te.
Lorna Jean Nicholson Feartoft.
Et super te.
Toby Perez.
Et super te.
Matthew Quigley.
Et super te.
Camila Rekveni.
Et super te.
Tom Schnabel.
Et super te.
Liam Stott.
Et super te.
Liam Stewart.
Et super te.
Samuel Van Newkirk.
Et super te.
Bill DeWitt.
Et super te.
Andrew Fraser.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Master in Physics with Honours, Lewis Anderson.
Te ad gradum magistri in philosophia naturale promovio, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Iason Apostolatos.
Et super te.
Lee Burton.
Et super te.
Rachel Jolliffe.
Et super te.
Connor McBride.
Et super te.
Peter McClenahan.
Et super te.
Cameron Middleton.
Et super te.
Thomas Rush.
Et super te.
Aaron Stewart.
Et super te.
Ewan Sunderland.
Et super te.
Jennifer Winston.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Master of Science, Jake Haycox.
Te ad gradum magistri scientiae promovio, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled Theoretical Models of Charged Particle Acceleration Motivated by Solar Flares, Alexei Borisov.
Te ad gradum doctoris philosophiae promovio, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono. Congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Three-Dimensional MHD Simulations of the Dynamics and Energetics of Coronal Flux Tubes, Thomas Howson.
Et super te. Congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Semi-Group Congruences, Computational Techniques and Theoretical Applications, Michael Torpey.
Et super te. Congratulations.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Wilf Wilson.
Eam absentem doctorum philosophiae renuntio. Decanus Facultatis Artium.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Master of Arts with Honours, Sheena Russo.
Te ad gradum magistri artium promovio, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Kirsten Braidwood.
Et super te.
Rachel Abreu.
Et super te.
Jessica Armstrong.
Et super te.
Megan Old.
Et super te.
Caitlin Bowie.
Et super te.
Lily Bradshaw.
Et super te.
Jodie Brimacombe.
Et super te.
Amelia Brown.
Et super te.
Eleanor Burke.
Et super te.
Kaylin Campbell.
Et super te.
Bryce Carlisle.
Et super te.
Alexa Castillo.
Et super te.
Rosie Catcheside.
Et super te.
Hudson Cleveland.
Et super te.
Sarah Collinson.
Et super te.
Grace Cowie.
Et super te.
Taylor Cozine.
Et super te.
Henry Crabtree.
Et super te.
Georgina Curry.
Et super te.
Agatha Dell.
Et super te.
Anine England.
Et super te.
Bethany Ferguson.
Et super te.
Tasha Fisher.
Et super te.
Bryn Frew.
Et super te.
Emma Galligani.
Et super te.
Olivia Gavayanis.
Et super te.
Talia Guazi.
Et super te.
James Harrison.
Et super te.
Stephanie Heron.
Et super te.
Thomas Hay.
Et super te.
Avery Humphreys.
Et super te.
Emily Jarvie.
Et super te.
Hannah J.
Et super te.
Elsa Klein.
Et super te.
Ori Neal.
Et super te.
Bjorn Lambrenos.
Et super te.
Hannah Lawson.
Et super te.
Amanda Levinson.
Et super te.
Micaiah Lowe.
Et super te.
Anna Lyons.
Et super te.
Patrick McLaughlin.
Et super te.
Amy McVeigh.
Et super te.
Rebecca Matthew.
Et super te.
Ava Meyer.
Et super te.
Caitlin Morris.
Et super te.
Grace O'Duffy.
Et super te.
Rachel Patel.
Et super te.
Isabel Payne.
Et super te.
Cosette Puckett.
Et super te.
Iona Ramsey.
Et super te.
Alexandra Rego.
Et super te.
Christina Riley.
Et super te.
Liberty Roberts.
Et super te.
Iona Robson.
Et super te.
Jamie Rodney.
Et super te.
Poppy Russell.
Et super te.
Katrina Schofield.
Et super te.
Rachel Senior.
Et super te.
Phoebe Sulon.
Et super te.
Bryony Sturgis.
Et super te.
Luca Terihai.
Et super te.
Emily Wellings.
Et super te.
Lewis Wood.
Et super te.
Sarah Alexander.
Et super te.
Tessa King.
Et super te.
Anna Rinat.
Et super te.
Martin Duffy.
Et super te.
Amy Elliott.
Et super te.
Chloe Baird.
Et super te.
Caroline Leach.
Et super te.
Bethann Walters.
Et super te.
Amy Cooper.
Et super te.
Eliska de Villiers.
Et super te.
Neve Kennedy.
Et super te.
Hadley Ramsey.
Et super te.
Kristen Spence.
Et super te.
Christopher Wilde.
Et super te.
Megan Franklin.
Et super te.
Glenn Mills.
Et super te.
Alexandra Hildreth.
Et super te.
Samuel Huckstep.
Et super te.
Samuel McReevy.
Et super te.
Samantha Pacorius.
Et super te.
Oliver Savage.
Et super te.
Audrey Scher.
Et super te.
Hannah Tatum.
Et super te.
Hermione Bird.
Et super te.
Eva McNabney.
Et super te.
Laura Medak Alvarez.
Et super te.
Grace Gathright.
Et super te.
Marcus Wright.
Et super te.
Ishani Mukherjee.
Et super te.
Shanda Kopp.
Et super te.
Eleanor Isaacs.
Et super te.
Rachel Organ.
Et super te.
Matthew Findlay.
Et super te.
Thomas Fines.
Et super te.
Ewan Tippin.
Et super te.
Indre Tuminauskaite.
Et super te.
James Carr.
Et super te.
Lauren Gage.
Et super te.
Alexandra Ma.
Et super te.
Alice Duffy.
Et super te.
Benjamin Norby.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Christopher Frau, Rebecca Mackenzie, Nicola Stojanovic.
Eos absentes magistros artium renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree of postgraduate diploma in absentia on Paige Landino Arushi Sharma.
Ex absentes diplomatus renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Master of Letters, Yuan Feng.
Te ad gradum magistri literarum promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Isabel Dollar.
Eam absentem magistrum literarum renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Master of Fine Arts, Rachel Hall.
Te ad gradum magistri artium elegentiam promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Akencia Saunders.
Et super te.
Gabrielle Scher.
Et super te.
Alexa Winnick.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I asked you to confer the degree in absentia on Lily Clark, Sean Robinson.
Eus absentis magistris artium elegentiam renuncio.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled The Image Complex, Challenges to the Imagist Hegemony in Contemporary American Poetry, Catherine Bowen.
Te ad gradum doctoris philosophiae promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono. Congratulations, well done.
For a thesis entitled In Kind, the Inactive Poem and the Co-Creative Response, Patrick Errington.
Et super te. Well done, Patrick. Congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Versions of the Scriptures and Textual Criticism in Anglo-Saxon Biblical Exegesis, John Joseph Gallagher.
Et super te.
For a thesis entitled Home Front Gothic, Power, Identity and Anxiety in British Culture, 1938 to 1951, Lucy Hall.
Et super te. Well done, Lucy.
For a thesis entitled With Strange Fantastic Motions, The Development of the Early Stuart Anti-Mask, Rachel Horrocks.
Et super te. Well done, congratulations.
For a thesis entitled The Emancipating Dwarf, Cultural Representations of Short-Statured Characters, Stephen Sacco.
Et super te. You're fine, congratulations.
For a thesis entitled Dystopia and the Divided Kingdom, 21st Century British Dystopian Fiction and the Politics of Dissensus, Adam Wellstead.
Et super te. Many congratulations.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confer the degree in absentia on Zoe Sutherland.
Eam absentem doctorum philosophiae renuncio. Congratulations to all our graduates. I should now like to introduce the Principal's Medal. This award was inaugurated 10 years ago with a gift from 3 anonymous donors and is supported by Eden Ravenscroft, believed to be the oldest firm of tailors and robe makers in the world. The award of the Principal's Medal recognises students who display exceptional endeavour and achievement during their time at St Andrews. The awards are open to final year undergraduates and to postgraduates in any discipline. The achievements celebrated are academic as well as sporting, musical, or other attainments. For the academic year 2018-19, the Principal's Medal is being presented to 3 outstanding students. Today, we recognise Oliver Savage, who has just received his Master of Arts in English Literature and Modern History. Ollie's nomination references the intellectual strides he has made in both of his subject areas. Ollie was placed on the Dean's list for academic achievement in his 3rd year and made the list again this year. I'm delighted to note he has been awarded a first. Ollie's time in St Andrews is notable for his profound engagement with student theatre, which has been so extensive that one of his tutors described him as superhuman, insisting that there must be a secret clone because, quote, one person could not have achieved all that Ollie has. In the spring of his first year here, he developed his own theatre company, Black Box, which has not only supported the international tour and Edinburgh Fringe residencies of his own productions, but which now financially supports other groups in St Andrews interested in staging experimental drama. Ollie's other activities speak to this passion for including and supporting his fellow students. He created the Performing Arts Library, an educational facility available to all, while also acting as manager of the Barron Theatre, in which capacity he began a 5-year process of refurbishment. Ollie has extended this love of theatre into his modern history classes, for which he created a piece of historical drama exploring the life of Sir James Irvine, an earlier principal of the university, that was described by the manager of the Byre Theatre as a groundbreaking piece responsible for leading the way in public engagement with history. Ollie will continue directing during his return to Edinburgh this summer, where he will stage 2 plays as part of The Greenhouse, a creative collective composed of 35 students and alumni of our university. This vital project will see the construction of the first ever zero-waste performance venue at the Fringe Festival in an effort to highlight the unsustainability of modern theatre practices in view of the climate crisis and to ensure that performing arts can be enjoyed by generations to come. Ollie, in recognition of all that you've achieved, both academically and personally, during your time as an undergraduate, and as you prepare for your next steps in the creative arts, it gives me great pleasure to invite you to join me on stage now to receive your medal. I call upon Professor Zinnie Harris of the School of English.
Vice-Chancellor, it is my privilege to present for the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, Joyce McMillan. Joyce McMillan is well known to those of us who work in the theatre as someone integral to the success of the arts in this country. She is our leading theatre critic, writing mainly for The Scotsman, but having held positions on several other major newspapers. In an average year, she attends and writes reviews for in excess of 250 theatre shows. It would be hard to find a playwright, director, or theatre company in Scotland that hasn't been championed or encouraged by Joyce at some stage in their career. Theatre, she says, is the touchstone of her life, the place where she can see new ways of thinking developing, new ideas taking shape, and where we all encounter a kind of truth. Joyce is also a principled and intelligent spokesperson and commentator on politics and social justice. She writes a weekly political column for The Scotsman and regularly appears on news channels and on Radio 3, Radio 4, the World Service and television. What is less well known about Joyce is her commitment to social democracy and human rights, and her work as a volunteer both nationally and internationally. She says this came from an encounter with the emerging market forces of neoliberalism in the early 70s, which alarmed her and drove her to dedicate herself to the defence of the social democratic settlement and values that had transformed the lives of millions in the decades after the Second World War. Joyce was born in Paisley in 1952 and was educated at Kilbarchan Primary School, then Paisley Grammar School, where she was awarded the Dux Medal in 1970. After school, she came here to St Andrews, studying English language and literature and graduating 45 years ago, almost to the day, with a first-class degree. She then moved to Edinburgh, studying for a diploma in secondary teaching before turning to writing. As a young journalist, she joined the National Union of Journalists and has been an office bearer since 1982. She was a member of the National Executive and chair of its Freelance Industrial Council and was appointed a Member of Honour in 2018. She is rightly proud of the achievement of the NUJ during this time in the organisation of freelance and casual workers and in the defence of their rights. Alongside this, Joyce expanded her interest in human rights and democracy internationally. She joined the Helsinki Citizens' Assembly in 1992, an organisation created to give a citizens' dimension to the new post-war European politics, quickly becoming a member of the Executive Committee. She worked here entirely voluntarily, going to meetings across Europe 7 or 8 times a year, meeting civic leaders from all over the continent, discussing peace and conflict resolution, human rights issues, democracy, and those constitutional arrangements most likely to promote peace. She says it was a hugely exciting time, a coalition of citizens with a common purpose to promote peace and security for the people of a Europe newly united after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Having developed her ideas in this way, it is no surprise that she brought this expertise and knowledge back to her home country of Scotland. In 1994, she was asked to chair the Scottish Constitutional Commission, addressing the so-called wicked issues facing the then proposed Scottish Parliament, and, with the other commission members, produced a report on how to solve proportional representation, gender balance, and address the so-called West Lothian question. Some of this report, notably the part on the electoral system of the Scottish Parliament, was written into the Scotland Act of 1998 and went on to be adopted in the eventual Parliament. More recently, her interest has turned to environmental issues. She's the honorary president of Scottish Environmental Link, a collection of all the environmental agencies and organisations in Scotland, which is committed to pushing the environment up the political agenda. She has written 3 books, including a 30-year anthology of her reviews, Theatre in Scotland, A Field of Dreams, published in 2016. She remains a hugely passionate and dedicated champion of both the arts and social democracy in Scotland and across the world. It is lovely to welcome her back to St Andrews as one of our own graduates from the School of English and to congratulate her on her many achievements since she was last with us. Vice-Chancellor, in recognition of her major contribution to theatre, journalism and social democracy, I invite you to confer the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, on Joyce McMillan.
Te ad gradum doctoris literarum honoris causa promovio, cuius re in symbolum super te hoc veretum impono.
Thank you. I've been asked to say just a few words of thanks, so I will do that. But first of all, I just want to congratulate all of the graduates who are graduating today. It's been a real joy to see this wonderful parade of youth and talent, and I hope of idealism coming up to receive your awards. So I'd like to give you all one more round of applause. Thank you. And also those, a few I noticed, who are not so young in years, but I hope are still young in inquiring spirit and in ideals. Of course, this is an occasion for thanks, and I find it hard to put into words the sense of gratitude that I have for all that this university gave me back in the 1970s when I was a student here, and for the great honour that the principal and the university are doing me today. I want to thank the university and the principal for that honour, and I want to thank Zinni for her wonderful laureation address. Thank you, Zinni. I also want, just at this moment, to thank two people who sadly are not here, and that's my parents, no longer with us, Robert McMillan, Jean Webster. I want to thank them, and I also want to thank the generation to which they belonged. They were with me 45 years ago when I graduated from this university. It was a proud day for them, and it was also the fulfillment of what to them was a lifetime of hope, that after the Second World War, in which they served in the armed forces when they were young, barely into their 20s, that they could build a better world, full of opportunity and of justice, in which people, regardless of their origin, could be accorded the respect and the opportunity and the life chances that they were able to benefit from and to make the very best of. They strove to build that world after the war. They voted to build it. And from the point of view of my generation, they succeeded in building it. And I was one of those people from a relatively humble background who benefited from the huge changes in our society in the 30 years after 1945, coming to this wonderful university and taking advantage of all that it could offer me. It's a sadness to me and to many who belong to my generation that I do not think that we are passing such an inspiring legacy on to those of you who are young now. Too many of us have perhaps been seduced by voices that told us that we could have all this without pain and without commitment to the communal life that supports us all. Many of us were intensely idealistic when we were young, but some of us lost those ideals as we grew older. And as we've grown older, our whole world has begun to face problems that we could not have imagined in our youth, problems to do with the planet itself, with its overstretched resources, and with the huge damage that we, humanity, in our ingenuity and arrogance, have managed to work out the ways of doing to this place which is our home. So we leave you a legacy which is a very mixed one. It's full of opportunities, but it's also full of dangers and immense challenges of a kind that no previous generation could have imagined. So today, in thanking the university for all that it gave me, for this special day for me and my guests, who I also thank for being here, I also wish you well in dealing with the world that we have left you, in all its positive aspects and all its mighty problems. Go well, and thank you all.
I call upon Professor Don Patterson of the School of English.
Vice-Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, everyone. It's an honour to speak to you on such a significant and memorable day in your lives, on the occasion of your graduation and going forth. When I was asked to address you, I was a bit nervous. While I do a great deal of speaking, it's rarely what you'd call inspirational, either in content or effect, I gather. So I thought instead of trying to be practical and maybe try and tell you a few things that would stand you in good stead. A caveat first, for your too much information, I have a dog share in 2 miniature poodles. One is called Caprica 6. Her name will mean nothing to you unless you're a devotee of Battlestar Galactica. But she's a divine canine of ginger hue and always the smartest person in the room. Her stepsister, alas, is a small black haunted chip of hell called Yentl. There was a reason that Yentl was the last puppy for sale that day and that she came so cheap. Yentl is a damn fool. In her time on Earth, she's learnt precisely 4 things, 2 of which are wrong. One of them is run away immediately after you've been to the toilet. And the other one is that she's named for a swear word, but at least here her confusion is understandable. So a warning, I may be the Yentl of life coaches. Everything I tell you may be wrong. Nonetheless, here are some things I think I know, inspired by the recent Down with the Kids example of the US high school principal who plagiarized an Ashton Kutcher Teen Choice Award speech at his school's graduation ceremony. I've decided to do this BuzzFeed style in order to get your clickbait-trained attention. So here are my 10 top tips for success. There is some padding. My first piece of advice is that no one ever wants your advice. Advice is the worst way to give advice. But if you make it sound like something else, people will sometimes take it. 2, as the great and oft-quoted philosopher Ashton Kutcher once wisely said, opportunity looks a lot like hard work, but it also looks a lot like opportunity. As you're propelled into the world of work, do not miss an opportunity through fear. As some other guy called Aristotle once said, you are what you do. The person who risks looking like a fool, who clicks send on that scary email of inquiry, who makes that scary call, goes to that scary party or event, is the person for whom the doors will open. Our careers are advanced less by our fretful or grand plans than by small personal connections that often turn out to be critical. So every day, make just one new connection. Do one small scary thing, and your life will go very differently as a result. 3, in 20 years' time, if you're still broke at the end of the month, check you're not still paying insurance cover for TVs and kitchen appliances that you threw out 10 years ago. That could just be me. I did say there was some padding. 4, acquire a superpower. If you can find and cultivate an obsession, whether it's politics, cheese, watchmaking, laminate flooring, doesn't matter, and somehow make that your job. Firstly, you'll learn it at an exponential rate because obsessions grow the very bits of your brain that they use. And secondly, it won't ever feel like you're working, which, trust me, is a great feeling. Talent, alas, is often a figment of our imagination, but obsession is way more efficient than talent, and it does the same job. 5, never eat, this is important, never eat more than one Fisher and Donaldson fudge donut in a calendar month. Now you laugh. The fudge donut is my personal Vietnam, I should say. Because the grim exchange of sugar and saturated fat is the main way in which Scots show each other love, we may have left you with a sugar addiction. The graduation garden party often serves mini fudge donuts, which I guess is how they got the idea for the big ones. But feed these to your family and friends so that they'll at least know what you've been up against these last few years. 6, we're part of the material universe, and round this bit of the galaxy, we are, it seems, all the serious thinking the universe is doing. But this means that if we are not without purpose, then the universe is not without purpose. So no pressure then, but know that the meaning of the entire cosmos might rest on your shoulders. To that end, here's some very Scottish advice. Don't aim for a happy life. No one can guarantee such a thing, and you don't want to end up disappointed. But if you aim for a rich and meaningful life, you can get there, because that's entirely within your control. 7, sorry to get a bit sappy, but always give yourself the care and advice that you would your best friend. You wouldn't allow them to suffer unnecessarily, so be your own best pal and never allow yourself to suffer either. 8A, never eat anything out of politeness. And 8B, turn off one-click ordering on Amazon. Oh, really? 9, never believe anyone that says you can only have one life. You can have many and run them simultaneously. Most importantly, if you have a few different selves, you can give one or two the freedom to fail at something. So as well as an excellent researcher, administrator, editor, whatever it is that you go on to be a terrible tennis player. Be a woeful watercolorist. Be an abominable astronomer. I could keep this up for a while. I've had more fun in my own guise as the world's worst pool hustler than almost anything I've done in my life. One day I really want to write a book called The Joy of Failing, which might be the worst book title of all time. And I know somebody writing a book called Yoga for Drunks at the moment. But it's true. Your entire life need not be given over to that striving for excellence that we've tried to teach you. Leave space to be a bit rubbish at a few things, and joyfully so. 10. If you don't know how to celebrate, learn today. You are here in what may prove the most wakeful and attentive period of your life, and you'll have taken in something of Scottish culture. You will likely have absorbed something of our fiscal common sense, our habit of plain and direct speech, and our ability to hail the random appearance of the weakest ray of sun as if it were a month in the Bahamas. But you may also have taken on something of our excessive modesty in regard to our own achievements. And its dark side is the inability to celebrate yourself. So don't make that most Scottish of mistakes today. I hereby command you to gloat, to beam, to trumpet, and to rejoice. You now hold a degree from one of the world's oldest and finest universities. You owe that celebration to the family and friends who've supported you through this intense time, but mostly you owe it to yourself. So there you go. That's my advice. I trust you found it useless. Finally, though, don't forget this is a day for your lecturers and supervisors too. Whatever pride we take in our history and our league table results, whatever our important roles or our clever specialisms or our lofty research projects, never doubt, St Andrews graduates, that you are our best work and that of which we remain most proud. Magnificently well done to you all.
Please stand for the benediction.
Gratia Domini nostri Iesu Christi, et caritas Dei, et communicatio Spiritus Sancti, sit cum omnibus nobis in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Amen.